Let me start with a story. A few years ago, I met a Marine Corps officer who told me something that stuck with me. He said, "Officers eat last." I asked him what that meant, and he explained, "In the mess hall, the most junior Marines eat first, and the high-ranking officers eat last." Not because someone forces them to, but because that's what leadership looks like. That one small behavior sends a very loud message. Asterisk, you come first. I'm here to serve you. Asterisk, that's what good leadership does. It makes people feel safe. Not safe from danger, though sometimes that too, but safe from judgment, safe from humiliation, safe from isolation. Good leaders create a circle of safety around their people. Inside that circle, we can speak honestly, we can take risks, we can be ourselves, and we can trust that someone has our back. But when that safety disappears, something changes. We stop innovating. We stay quiet instead of speaking up. We become more focused on protecting ourselves than helping each other. And when that happens, teams fall apart not because of lack of talent, but because of fear. A good leader doesn't inspire loyalty by barking orders or demanding results. A good leader inspires loyalty by earning it, by showing up consistently, by listening, by being the kind of person others want to follow, not have to follow. Think about someone you truly admire as a leader. You probably didn't follow them because they were in charge. You followed them because they made you feel seen, heard, respected, safe. It's easy to lead when things are going well, but real leadership shows up in the hard moments. When mistakes are made, when pressure is high, that's when a true leader steps forward and says, "I've got you, we'll get through this together." And here's the beautiful part. When people feel safe, they rise. They push harder, they dream bigger, they support each other more fiercely, because they know someone is looking out for them. So if you want to lead, truly lead, start there. Make the people around you feel safe. Not by controlling them, not by pretending to be perfect, but by being human, by caring, by going last. Because the measure of a leader isn't how many people serve them, it's how many people they're willing to serve. Leadership isn't about titles, corner offices, or how many people report to you. At its core, leadership is about service. It's about the willingness to put the needs of others before your own, not just in words, but in action. The best leaders don't rise by stepping on people. They rise by lifting others. They understand that their real job is not to be in charge, but to take care of the people in their charge. One of the clearest demonstrations of this is found in something as simple as who eats first. In the military, particularly in the Marine Corps, officers allow their junior troops to eat before them. There's no written rule, no punishment if they don't follow it, it's simply tradition. And that tradition speaks volumes. It shows the kind of leadership that earns trust and inspires loyalty. The message behind it is clear. I'm here for you, your well-being comes before mine. That's the essence of leadership as service. In everyday life, this kind of leadership shows up in small, consistent ways. It's the manager who stays late to help the team meet a deadline, the teacher who listens patiently to a struggling student, or the friend who checks in after a tough day. These moments might seem minor on the surface, but over time, they build something powerful. They create a foundation of trust. When people know their leader will support them, even at personal cost, they respond with commitment. They show up more fully, contribute more honestly, and are willing to go the extra mile not because they have to, but because they want to. This kind of loyalty can't be bought with money, titles, or perks. It's earned through the quiet, often unseen work of putting others first. Leadership as service also means stepping back and letting others shine. It means listening more than talking, asking questions instead of giving orders, and being open to feedback, especially the uncomfortable kind. It means admitting when you're wrong and being humble enough to learn from others, regardless of their role or rank. This approach to leadership might not look flashy. It doesn't make headlines or dominate boardrooms, but it builds teams that last. It creates cultures where people feel safe, seen, and supported. And in the long run, it drives real success not just in numbers, but in relationships, resilience, and purpose. True leadership is a quiet strength. It's not about demanding respect, it's about earning it by showing up, standing up for others, and consistently choosing to serve rather than to be served. And when leaders do that, they don't just lead people, they inspire them. When people feel safe, something powerful happens. They unlock their full potential. Emotional and psychological safety isn't just a nice-to have, it's a foundational human need that directly impacts how we think, act, and perform. In any team, organization, or relationship, safety is what allows people to take risks, speak up, and stretch beyond what they think is possible. Without it, people shrink. With it, they thrive. Good leaders understand this deeply. They know that when people feel safe, they're more likely to share ideas, even the half-formed ones. They'll admit mistakes, ask for help, or offer a new perspective. Safety creates an atmosphere where vulnerability isn't punished, it's welcomed. And in that kind of space, creativity flourishes, innovation happens, trust grows. Think about a time when you felt truly safe with someone, maybe a teacher, a coach, or a boss. You probably felt free to express yourself without fear of being judged or rejected. You didn't have to constantly look over your shoulder or second guess your every move. You could just be asterisk. And in that space, you probably did some of your best work, had your boldest ideas, or made your most meaningful contributions. Now imagine the opposite. Imagine being in a place where your voice doesn't matter, where mistakes are met with blame instead of support, where speaking up could get you shut down. In those environments, people don't take risks. They stay quiet. They do the bare minimum to avoid trouble, not because they're lazy or unmotivated, but because they don't feel safe. That's the difference a good leader makes, not by controlling outcomes, but by shaping the environment. By choosing trust over fear, by leading with empathy instead of ego. Safety isn't just about removing threats, it's about intentionally creating a space where people they are valued, protected, and heard. And it's not something that happens overnight. Safety is built in moments when a leader listens without interrupting, when they own their own mistakes, when they ask how someone is doing and actually mean it. Over time, these actions build a culture where people can take off the armor and show up as themselves. In a world that often rewards speed, pressure, and perfection, choosing to create safety is a radical act. But it's also the smartest one. Because when people feel safe, they stop surviving and start excelling. They stop holding back and start leaning in. So, if you're in a position to lead, whether it's one person or 100, ask yourself not just how well you're directing them, but how safe they feel around you. Because in the end, that sense of safety might just be the most important thing you ever give them. Fear is a powerful force, and not always in a good way. In environments where fear dominates, people don't collaborate, they compete. They don't take initiative, they play it safe. They don't communicate openly, they protect themselves. And over time, that fear doesn't just harm individuals, it erodes entire teams and cultures from the inside out. When leaders create environments rooted in fear, whether through harsh criticism, unpredictable reactions, or a lack of transparency, people begin to withdraw. They become hesitant, guarded, and reluctant to step outside their comfort zones. Why? Because fear puts us into survival mode. And when we're trying to survive, we don't take risks, we don't experiment, and we certainly don't speak up when we see something wrong. We stay quiet, keep our heads down, and do only what's necessary to avoid being targeted. In these environments, mistakes become dangerous. Instead of being opportunities for growth, they turn into reasons for punishment. And that mindset kills creativity. People stop thinking outside the box because staying inside the box feels safer. They stop offering feedback or new ideas, not because they don't have them, but because the cost of speaking up feels too high. And here's the irony: many leaders think fear motivates people, that if they keep the pressure on, they'll get better results. But what they actually create is a culture of silence and self-preservation, not one of innovation or excellence. Fear can get short-term compliance, but it never earns long-term commitment. Contrast that with environments where people feel safe. When fear is removed, something shifts. People start supporting one another. They share resources, ideas, and responsibility. They become more invested in the team's success, not just their own survival. That's what collaboration really looks like, not just working together, but trusting each other enough to be open, honest, and vulnerable. Leaders who build that kind of culture don't rule with intimidation. They lead with clarity, consistency, and care. They don't ignore failure, but they respond to it with curiosity instead of criticism. They ask asterisk, what can we learn from this? Asterisk instead of asterisk, who's to blame? Asterisk, and that difference in tone changes everything. Because the truth is, fear doesn't eliminate problems, it just hides them. People don't speak up about what's broken. They hide issues, cover for mistakes, and pretend everything's fine. And by the time the truth surfaces, it's often too late. If you want honest communication, bold ideas, and deep collaboration, fear can't be in the driver's seat. Good leaders know this. They actively replace fear with trust. They model vulnerability, reward honesty, and make it safe to challenge ideas. And in doing so, they create a team that doesn't just function, it thrives. Loyalty is often misunderstood in leadership. Some assume it comes with authority, that if you hold a high position or have a strong personality, people will naturally follow you. But real loyalty doesn't work like that. It can't be demanded. It's not automatic. It has to be earned. And the way good leaders earn it is through empathy, by genuinely caring about the people they lead. Empathy is more than just being nice. It's the ability to understand and connect with what someone else is feeling. It means seeing people not just as employees, students, or team members, but as human beings with fears, hopes, and lives beyond their roles. When a leader takes the time to ask, "How are you doing?" and actually listens, that creates connection. When they notice someone is struggling and offer support without judgment, that builds trust. And trust is the foundation of loyalty. People are loyal to those who make them feel seen and valued. They give their best to leaders who show up consistently, who listen without interrupting, who don't just care about the bottom line, but about the human beings behind the work. When people know that their leader truly cares about them, not just their output, they become more committed, more engaged, and more willing to go the extra mile. On the other hand, when leaders lack empathy, loyalty starts to fade. If someone only hears from their leader when something goes wrong, if they're constantly criticized but rarely appreciated, they begin to feel like they don't matter. And when people feel like they don't matter, they disconnect. They stop caring. They show up physically, but not emotionally. Empathetic leadership isn't about being soft or avoiding hard conversations. It's about approaching those conversations with humanity. It's the leader who can say, "I noticed your performance has dropped. Is everything okay?" Instead of, "Why are you not doing your job?" One opens a door, the other slams it shut. And when empathy is practiced consistently, loyalty isn't just built, it's sustained. People begin to feel a sense of belonging. They know that even in tough moments, their leader has their best interest at heart. That kind of loyalty can't be measured by performance reviews or productivity charts, but you see it in the energy people bring, the way they support one another, and the pride they take in their work. Ultimately, good leaders don't just want followers, they want people who believe in the mission, who trust the vision, and who feel safe enough to bring their whole selves to the table. Empathy is what bridges the gap between leadership and loyalty. It's not a weakness, it's one of the greatest strengths a leader can have. Leadership isn't tested when things are smooth, when everything is going according to plan, or when results are coming easily. The true test of leadership shows up in the difficult moments, when things fall apart, when mistakes happen, when the team is under pressure, and people are unsure what comes next. That's when real leaders step forward, not to point fingers, not to protect their own image, but to take responsibility, offer stability, and remind everyone that they're not alone. In moments of crisis, people naturally look to leadership for reassurance. They want to know that someone is calm, composed, and capable of navigating the storm. Good leaders understand this and don't shy away from those moments. They don't blame others to save face or hide behind silence, hoping the issue will go away. They face problems head on, and most importantly, they protect their people. That doesn't mean pretending everything is okay. It means being honest about the challenges while still giving people hope. It means saying, "This is hard, and we're going to figure it out together." That kind of leadership builds deep trust because people remember how you made them feel in their most vulnerable moments. When a leader chooses to stand with their team in difficulty, not above them, it sends a clear message. I'm with you, not just when you're winning, but especially when you're struggling. One of the most powerful things a leader can do is take responsibility when things go wrong. Even if it wasn't entirely their fault, they choose to absorb pressure rather than deflect it. That's not weakness, it's courage. And when a leader models that kind of accountability, others follow suit. It creates a culture where people feel safe to own their mistakes, learn from them, and grow. Contrast that with the leader who disappears in tough times, who looks for someone to blame, or who reacts out of panic and frustration. That kind of leadership breeds fear, distrust, and division. People start looking out for themselves instead of each other. The team fractures. The focus shifts from solving the problem to avoiding blame. But when a leader truly shows up during adversity, everything changes. Their presence alone can calm fears. Their willingness to listen, to adjust, and to take the first step forward gives others permission to do the same. And over time, those moments of steady leadership during chaos become the foundation of unshakable loyalty and respect. Because in the end, people don't just remember what you did when things were easy, they remember who you were when things were hard. And the leaders who show up in those moments with strength, humility, and heart are the ones who earn trust that lasts far beyond any single challenge. When people feel safe, they begin to show up in a completely different way. They stop holding back. They bring more of themselves, their ideas, their energy, their creativity, and their full potential to the table. That sense of safety acts like a key that unlocks all the best qualities a person has to offer. And it's not just about individual performance. It transforms entire teams and organizations. Good leaders understand that safety is not just about the absence of danger or conflict, it's about the presence of trust. It's about creating an environment where people believe that they can speak up without fear, that they can try something new without being punished for failing, and that they can admit what they don't know without being made to feel small. That trust empowers people to go beyond the minimum. It encourages them to take risks, to ask questions, and to support one another without worrying about looking weak or out of place. In a safe environment, people become more innovative. They aren't afraid to throw out bold or unconventional ideas because they know they won't be laughed at or shut down. They collaborate more openly because they aren't worried about being undermined or taken advantage of. They lift each other up, knowing that success is shared, not hoarded. This kind of culture doesn't happen by accident. It's the result of intentional leadership that prioritizes psychological safety as a foundation for everything else. And the effects ripple outward. When someone feels safe, they don't just perform better, they become more invested. They take ownership, they care. They don't just do what's expected, they contribute with heart. That's where loyalty, motivation, and deep engagement come from, not from fear or control, but from the sense that I matter here, I'm trusted here, I belong here. Now, that doesn't mean there's never conflict or challenge. Safe environments still have high standards and tough conversations. But those conversations happen with respect, and the standards are upheld with fairness. In fact, because people feel safe, they're more likely to engage in honest dialogue and hold each other accountable, not less. That's the paradox. Safety doesn't make people soft, it makes them stronger. It creates the conditions for real excellence. Leaders who foster that kind of environment don't always have all the answers. But they're consistent, they're transparent, they show empathy, and over time, those qualities create a culture where people don't just survive, they grow, they thrive, and they push the entire team forward. Because when safety is present, fear disappears. And when fear disappears, people stop worrying about protecting themselves and start focusing on creating something greater than themselves. That is the power of a leader who makes others feel safe. It's not just a leadership strategy, it's a human one.